In this video, we will discover modifier system in Blender. So a modifier is a piece of software inside Blender that modifies the object, as it says. And you can find it here, okay? So we did see already a few, but we will go deeper during this chapter to see a little the workflow to use that. And the first thing you have to understand is this. When you add a modifier to an object here, you add a modifier only to that object, okay? Even if you have a double selection from the 3D view like that, for example, okay, or a triple selection here, if you add the modifier here, it will be on the last one, not on the other, okay? So basically, it's things that you find in edit mode for here. I will show you that. I will add a plane, okay? You will have some edit modifiers, okay? It's a little advanced and maybe we will talk of it during the training, but mostly I don't use them a lot. So I don't want you to disturb you with that because it's a little advanced features here. Here we have the generate, and we will have a full video on that. So generate, as it says, generate some geometry. Here, for example, if I add a solidify modifier and increase the thickness, so it will generate some geometry that wasn't here before, okay? And if I add another modifier, generate here subdivision surface, it will even generate from this here, from the first one, okay? We can see that we have here deform, so as it says, it's deform only the object. We have some normals modifier that we don't use that much, except really specific tasks. And for the physics, we will have a full video about physics on the simulation chapter. Here we have the hair, and it's a specific one for hairs, so maybe we'll talk about it during the training, but not in this chapter because again, it's a very specific feature. So we will talk basically about the generate ones and the deform ones during this chapter here. You can add, as you can see here, 2, 3, 4 as modifiers as you need during your modeling, but it will increase the RAM, so be careful about that. It will increase the RAM here. So more you add modifiers, like for example, if I add a subdivision surface, again, you see it increase. If I increase that, you see that it will increase a little again and again, and now I have so it's little by little. But if you have more than 1 million vertices, for example, it will start to be a little more. Yeah, you can see that now I have 3 gigabytes because I have 6 million faces here. So it's a lot. When you add 2 modifiers, you have to be careful about the order of the modifiers. Who is first, who is second, who is... So here, if I add, for example, again the same, the solidify here, increase the thickness, and a modifier generates subdivision surface again, okay, you can see that first you can disable and enable in 3D view here the modifiers. So at first we have the solidify, you read from the top to the bottom here, and this here shows only the solidify modifier here, okay? So it's just add some geometry and add a thickness to a surface. Now, if I put the modifier subdivision on it, it will take this object that is created by the first one and modify it again, okay? And you can add 3, 4, 5, a lot of modifiers here to create the object that you need. Here you can see that you have the possibility to move modifiers, to move the order. So if I move this one on top, you can see that the result is not the same. because if I just analyze what's happening at first, I have this, then I subdivide the plane to have this surface, okay, and now I can solidify it. So it's very important to understand what's happening, and to verify that, just enable only the first, and then after the second, and then after the third, to really see what's happening to your objects when you play with modifiers like that, okay? I will show you modifiers chains like this during exercises and during the 2 next videos. Here you have other buttons as well. You can enable this in render or not. So now if I make a render with the camera, it will be only this that will appear, okay? For example, you have these 2 buttons that belongs to edit mode, this. So for example, here, if I enable this in edit mode, you can see the result in edit mode. But if I disable this, I have only this in edit mode, and now in object mode I have the modified object. Sometimes it disturbs to have all of this in the viewport, so sometimes you can hide it, and sometimes you can even make the original geometry stick to the new object that is generated. So for example, here for the subdivision, here you can see that now I have only 4 vertices, but they stick to the new geometry. So this is very important to understand that as well. And so if I add this as well, now you can see that if I select one, I select 2 actually, because the new vertices are linked. And so if I move that one, everything will move, okay? So yeah, it can be very important to understand this system here in edit mode or not, and stick to the surface or not, okay? So for example, with a simple Suzanne here, okay, with a subdivision surface, the shortcut for that is Ctrl+2, and you will have a subdivision surface with level viewport at 2, okay? Here, if I just enable this in edit mode, I will have the original here faces and original vertices, but if I make it stick to the surface, now I can really see what's happening here. So sometimes it's good to model like that, to see a little the original geometry, and sometimes it's good to model like that. And we will have the cases during our training. So that's it for these features. So as you can see, you have these 4 buttons you can enable, and what you can do as well, you can apply a modifier. You can see that here, if you click on the little arrow there, you have an apply button or duplicate, but the apply is the most important. Here you can apply the geometry, and now the modifier, and now the modifier disappears. This becomes destructive because before that it was non-destructive. After that it's destructive, and you cannot come back to the options of the modifier again. So be careful when you apply a modifier, it's destructive. Usually what I do when I apply a modifier, I always keep the original somewhere. Like for example, here I have the Suzanne with modifiers. For example, you can use this like that. You duplicate it and you rename it, and you make Suzanne applied. Okay, and now what you have here, if you apply the geometry and hide the first one, now you have this. So it becomes everything real. Okay, so now you can modify this in edit mode maybe more precisely. Before you cannot. Okay. But with the modifier, it's always good to keep the one that has less vertices to modify. In case you make a mistake, or in case you want to come back, it's always good, because at this point you have the one without apply the modifier, and so still in, let's say, non-destructive mode. Okay, so that's it for these features. If you have for example here, let's say I want to remove that one. Okay, good, and I keep only this one. Let's say you have a modifier, a chain of modifiers somewhere. Okay, so for example, maybe we'll add a cube this time, and this time we will add a modifier generate bevel here. Okay, and let's say this bevel, we are happy with it. It's the same options that you have in edit mode, but we will see that during the next videos more precisely. And I will add another modifier, maybe modifier array. Okay, so add a modifier, generate array here, increase the factor here, and increase the count. Good. So we have two modifiers, one that makes the bevel here and one that makes the array. In that specific case, when you change that, it will not change the geometry, because here what's happened to the array doesn't belong to the bevel. So yeah, whatever you put of the order, it will be the same. But for what we want to do, for example, let's say I have a simple object like a cylinder. Okay, and let's say this cylinder, I will not put a lot of vertices, maybe 16 will be enough for that. And I will put it here. Maybe you would like to copy the same modifiers with the same options that you have here on that one. So you can do that. You just select the first one, then select the other. I think it's this order. And with Control L, you just copy modifiers. Yeah, it was the other order. I made a mistake, sorry. Control L, copy modifiers. And now you have the same modifiers here. You can see that we have the bevel and we have the duplication of the array as well. You can make exactly the same, but only with one modifier. In case only one is important for you, you have the same kind of selection, and here you go to copy to selected, and you will make your duplication of the modifier. Now, if I select this object, I find back exactly the same option, count 5 and factor x at 1.5. So yeah, basically, it's those options that you will have to understand, and we will discover more specific things that modifiers does. And here we will go into the generate for the next video. So we will discover generate modifiers into the next video, and you will see that there is a lot to cover. So maybe the two next videos might be a little longer than usual, but it's important for you to understand that before going to exercises with these fantastic options.